You are listening to episode 151 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John, and I'm joined by Ryan.
Hey, everybody, here at the Game Deflators Podcast, we like to talk about games we've recently picked up, games we're currently playing, and we try to find out if these games are scarier than their price tags in today's Inflation Deflation Challenge Triple Pack of Fear.
I will have everyone know that was not on the notes on there. I did not know Triple Pack of Fear was coming up.
A little improv.
A little improv for sure. So yeah, Triple Pack of Fear. This week we played 3 horror games, all with exorbitant price tags that I picked up a very long time ago. So I picked up Kuon, which many will know is like the highest price game on the console of PlayStation 2. We got some Haunting Ground, and we have some Obscure as well. So we'll get started on that in a little bit. But first, find us on thegamedeflators.com. Find us on social media at The Game Deflators. And that would be on Facebook and Instagram. And then at Game Deflators on Twitter.
Also, they don't like the. I feel like we've been letting Twitter off easy lately.
Yeah, we should probably...
we got to start calling them out. The haters.
Yeah, the haters.
Twitter is the haters.
The haters. It goes 2 ways, right? And then also find us on all those great podcast applications like the one you were listening to now. And of course, subscribe. So we're recording this episode literally a day after we recorded 150. And somehow we have more pickups to talk about, I feel, than we did yesterday when we recorded.
Did we? Let me see. I've got it right here in front of me.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about Sable and Innistrad, and today I'm talking about 2 other things that, I mean, I'm kind of cheating a little bit. I have had these things, but this is my first time taking them out of the garage and really using them.
I had a D&D book pickup last week, technically yesterday when we recorded. Today I actually have a video game pickup, though, that I can talk about. So, NIS...
Lay it on us, John.
Lay it on us, yeah. So random Facebook group that I was on, or that I'm part of, somebody posted that Ys 8 had a restock via NIS, and it was on Nintendo Switch. And so I'm like, oh, cool. It was posted 30 minutes ago. Let me check it out. Completely sold out. I already have a copy of Ys 8 on Nintendo Switch, so I was just kind of more so, hey, if I could pick it up brand new and then flip it or something, let me do that. However, intuition kicked in, and I was like, let me check if they have a PS4 restock, because that's a version I really want to play anyways, not the Switch version. Lucky me, they had plenty of stock of the PS4 version of that game, so nabbed myself a copy for $40. Anybody that doesn't know, that game has been hovering in like the 150, 120 territory for a long time now, and to pick that up for $40 brand new is insane. Like, I'm super stoked about that.
Thanks for the heads up, John.
Oh, it's probably gone now. By the time this episode comes out, it's sold out. But yes, that was my big pickup. I did play a little bit of God of War last night. As you know, I'll be out of town here for the next 4 days. So when this recording comes out, I'll be back in town. But I did play some God of War last night. Didn't get very far. Just kind of moved up to the next space or next area. I'm trying to think of a description on it. It's a big cave where you have this like giant, like, the hook in the grab machines. And I have to move this giant ass, like, piece of like lumber or something in the way. And then to get the hook around it, so it shoots it up high into his vault in the ceiling. And I was like, how the hell do I do this? Like, I'm half asleep, couldn't figure it out. Ended up, like, as I was eyes closing while trying to play, figured, if I kind of pause the gear that like drops everything down, I could just hop on top of it and then release my axe and then shoot up to the top. So I got to the next area, I was half asleep. Kratos was running in circles or into walls, and I was like, I gotta stop. So saved it and moved on. Dude, I swear, like,
Kratos is tired.
I don't get what it is, man. Like, sitting back on any video game, I'll just start knocking out and falling asleep in the middle of play.
Yeah, dude, I could do that with any TV show and my awesome comfy couch.
It's got to be like once you hit past 30. That's got to be what it is.
Dude, I don't know. I've always been able to like crash in a party on a couch anywhere.
I have not. Like, that's never been my thing. So apparently it is now, but Yeah, so Kratos, like I said, was going in circles. He was running into walls, and it's just,
I have
and
no
it's,
idea what part you're talking about with that. Like,
I forget the name of it. I mean,
it's cool. I'll
some
figure it
people,
out. I'll definitely replay probably that whole series again one day. But I played I played the first three leading up to the fourth one coming, or not the fourth one, but like the
yeah.
reboot one coming out. And then we
Hmm.
all know what happened with that.
Oh, you mean adolescent instead of a boy?
No, I just never finished it. That's what happened.
You never finished God of War?
No, of course not. It's probably my favorite game ever, though. I just haven't finished it, so it's hard to say.
How far did you get?
Dude, farther than you're at now, so I'll let you be disappointed in me once the time comes. Everybody be prepared. Disappointment is inbound. Yes, scar it up.
Yeah, scarred up for sure. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm already disappointed because I thought that you had like beat it and everything else. Now I'm finding out that I'm gonna end up, I don't know, passing you, I
Dude,
guess.
Danny beat the hell out of this game though. Like he did like all the crazy Valkyrie fights and everything.
Oh, I'll do all the Valkyrie fights and such, as many as I can, but yeah, I don't know. God, man, I kind of want to complete it now.
Oh,
Like full completion.
I thought of another pickup.
What was your other pickup? Well, okay. Well, moving on to you. Pickups.
Okay. So the one that I just thought about, tiny story time. I went to I went online and I ordered Berserk Volume 1, the big black leather bound crazy edition.
Like the manga, like full big black compendium type of deal.
Yeah, it looks
Oh,
sick.
dude.
I think it's downstairs right now, or I'd show you.
I'll have to see it when I go to your house.
Yeah, and like the pages are like nice and big, and the illustrations are like super good. Like I've been reading the hell out of Berserk, and I love it. So I was determined to buy these, and I ordered it before he passed away, and it's just been months, and like my shipment just never showed up, and it was like, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, God, I can't believe I waited, because it said it would be like 2 months to ship. And I was like, there's the shipping apocalypse right now, and there's all these shortages, and he just died. Like maybe there's an issue, I don't need it right now. I'm already way further ahead. It's not like I'm reading to catch up. They're only up to volume 8, which is only like, I don't know. I'm way past that part anyways.
Yeah.
So it's just like for collecting them.
Yeah.
And every time I go to like a bookstore or something, I always look and never see it. Always just like volume 8, sometimes a few other volumes or whatever. Boom, found it today.
Nice.
So I picked that up. Love it.
Nice. That's good stuff.
Other things, I am using my Scarlett 2i2. I think it's a preamp or something like that. And I got these HyperX Cloud Alpha headphones that are supposed to be pretty good. They're comfy. They're really gushy. You can pull the mic out. They are corded because I told you guys about the Gundam mouse, sick Gundam mouse that I got here. John can see it.
Actually, I'm finally seeing this for the first time.
Ooh.
Like I knew you got it, but I hadn't seen it yet.
And my dope Gundam mouse pad.
But it's a shame, people, because Ryan does not have a Gundam keyboard.
Well, they do have a Gundam keyboard, but it's one of those tiny ones. And I have a laptop. I don't really need a keyboard to go with my laptop.
Hey, with 3 monitors, you need a keyboard.
I mean, I've got a full keyboard on my laptop, like number pad and everything.
Oh,
and okay. I find my laptop fairly comfortable for as often as I really need to use it for stuff.
Yeah.
I wanted these Gundam headphones. But
that's right, but they weren't compatible. You said with Xbox.
They don't work with the Xbox. And I got the Xbox, and I need headphones to work with the Xbox.
Do those headphones work with the Xbox?
These are wired. They work with everything.
So then you should
they were like half the price.
You should still buy the Gundam ones specifically for Game Deflators recordings.
No, I'm not going to do that. They were more expensive. I just want one pair of good headphones. These were I think these were like $60 or something.
Gotcha.
They were like a great deal.
I just still use my PlayStation headphones.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, right now I'm using a corded because I prefer a cord, when we're doing our audio and stuff over Bluetooth. But yeah, I still use my PlayStation 4 headset. I think it's a gold headset specifically for online gaming. Actually, I think it's a PlayStation 3 headset. I don't remember, but it works. So why go to anything different?
Yeah.
Any other pickups?
It was birthday season for me recently. We talked yesterday about the Innistrad Midnight Hunt stuff, and I've been messing around with that commander deck that you got me a little bit, and that's pretty cool.
What's the overall theme on that is like witches and druids and stuff, right?
It's like life and death
Nice.
mechanics, like
Okay.
losing life, gaining life, stuff like that. And there's like right now, like I said, I've got a 3-way battle between all my commander decks going on downstairs, just kind of messing around with them. And like I've got this artifact down that every time you would gain life, you gain twice as much life. I have a vampire guy that like when you gain life, opponents lose that much life. I've got a guy that whenever you gain life, he gets that many life counters added to him. And I've got the main girl, the commander, who like one tap add however many +1 counters for however much life you gain this turn.
Yeah.
So it's like I just did like gain 10 life, did 10 damage to everything, put +10 on an indestructible creature last turn. Like I think that guy's gonna win.
I think you need to play some Magic with me in person so you're not stuck playing 3 commander decks against each other at the same time, because it's a downward spiral to 4 commander decks and then making your own pods. So probably
I do, yeah. I'll do my own drafts. I'll draft against myself 4 times.
Yeah, Ryan. All right, let's see what Ryan had this time.
How am I gonna do this? What is the other guy drafting? I think he's going for white.
Yeah, I think I'll probably end up buying a commander deck here. From
Do you not have any?
I have homebrew ones that I've made over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I want to buy one of the like pre-made ones. I think they're pretty cool. And if it's just for casual play, I think it's fine.
Are you gonna buy like a spency one, or are you gonna buy like a new one?
One of the new ones.
Because they have like old ones that are like hundreds of dollars.
Oh yeah, it's stupid. Like I kind of wish I would have bought them back then because I had access to them.
Well, don't we all?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, who knew Magic was going to go the way it did?
Everybody, all everyone, the cool people, all the Dogecoin people.
Well, yeah, where's that now? But I'm still obviously selling stuff, so I'm hoping here in the next several weeks or month, I have enough for my first Badlands or Taiga. So I'm like super, super close to getting those.
I got to get those fetch lands you were talking about.
Definitely get those before they go back up. Now's a good time to pick them up.
Oh, I did get a super cool thing that I really wanted. I got 1,000 Sunny model kit. For those in the know, the 1,000 Sunny is the ship from One Piece, the second ship.
That's pretty cool.
Going Merry.
So you're going to build that out?
Yeah, it's going to be sick. I mean, it's going to be like a little model ship, which is like a classic thing, but like a dope One Piece model. And I actually, at Athoria, they have another One Piece ship model, but it's Teach's, and it's just like, you don't know, Teach's Blackbeard. It's just like a big wooden raft with a mast coming out of the middle. Like it's not cool looking. Like it's not a model. Like of all the things to buy, why would it be that?
Yeah.
They also sell all like the chibi off-brand Gundam Samurai model kits. Yeah, I've been real into Gunpla lately. I'm pretty sure I've talked about that on here.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about a while back that you're building.
Oh, and I posted it in my pictures on Instagram. Duh.
Yeah, you did.
Because I'm sure everybody listening follows me on Instagram.
All of this occurred after you posted the giant Gundam from Japan.
Yes.
Ryan was like, giant Gundam, I must replicate this.
Well, I did Gundam models when I was a kid and stuff. I actually need to go back and buy like my first one, I think was Death Scythe Custom and then Heavy Arms. I had a bunch as a kid, but I threw my whole childhood away or donated it or sold it at some garage sale for pennies on the dollar, I'm sure.
Hey, people like you are the people I love. Selling other game collections at a penny. Okay, well, jumping into our general topic here. So we're going to be talking some horror games.
Well,
Um,
well, I guess you played God of War. Have I played anything since yesterday?
I don't know. Have you?
Uh, uh, no.
No. Okay, so on to our topic. Uh, so horror games. I know you
Oh, horror
played.
movies. I've been watching synopses of horror movies. So anybody who is a YouTube junkie out there, big shout outs to Found Flicks. Been watching. I mean, he doesn't need me to shout him out. I'm a little guy, but he's cool and his videos are great. He basically just tells you the plots of movies, pretty much all horror movies. I've never been huge into horror. When I was a kid, I was really scared of them.
Mhm.
Now that I'm older, I guess I find them mostly to be stupid, so not really worth the watch usually. So I kind of never really got into being big into horror movies, but I've watched some now that I like. Like I like the Conjuring series. I think those are pretty good. It's something that keeps you guessing's good. I just watched what was that one? Come True was good. I may have even mentioned that one.
I don't think you
Um
mentioned that one.
Well, there's a whole bunch. I've been watching that basically all the last week and
Yeah.
kind of getting ready for spooky season. I mean, we've already had all our Halloween decorations up inside the house
Oh, we
for a whole
started
month.
today. Yeah, we started today.
We're going to start doing
So
outdoor decorations when we get back, but it's definitely that time of the year and we're definitely getting excited for that. So we thought we would bring all the spookiness. And why wait for the really juicy horror games until the end of the month? Why we thought let's just get all those king size candy bars into one bag at the beginning of the month. We'll talk about all those and then we'll find other horror games to talk about later, but we want to talk about what's expensive, what's at the top of collector tier, what's the what is it, holy grail for
but
fear.
but before we get into that, and people can be so disappointed they're going to skip right over this. I want to know horror games that you've played recently that you enjoyed, because I know you've got
Resident Evil 8
Village.
Village.
Okay, you played another Resident Evil before that, right? Didn't you
Yeah,
play
I played
7?
Resident Evil 4 right before that.
And then 3, I think, before that, because they did the
No, I never
re-release.
played 3.
You never played the new 3?
No, I've never played the old 3. I never played the new 3. I never played
Why?
the huh.
Why?
So I stopped playing 2. Why did I stop playing 2? Stop playing 2 because like it toned down the difficulty on me and I was pissed and proud and I was like, no, I'm just gonna go back and replay normal from the last normal save up to where the easy new save was. And I
Yeah,
just never went back and did that. Obviously.
gotcha. Yeah.
Obviously, I was never gonna do that. But dude, Mr. X scared the hell out of me. Like
Oh, is that the main
it was
reason?
Fear City. I couldn't get to like gaming him mode. Like it was just those boom, 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 big stomps.
Yeah.
He was killing me. And then I was like, I've also never played Covenant for that same reason, or not Covenant, Alien Isolation.
Oh, dude, Alien
For that same
Isolation was
reason.
pretty decent.
Like I'm terrified of like that one indestructible come after you kill you monster. So that's what Nemesis was in the original, but now that I've seen so many like so many people talk about the remake and it's totally different. Like they
Yeah.
really edited kind of how it was and people were kind of disappointed by it. I know it had that interesting asymmetrical online game that it like launched with.
Mm-hmm.
And that wasn't really very popular and it was difficult to get into servers and it just I don't know, that whole package just didn't seem like something that I was on the edge of my seat to play. I think because I didn't have the affinity for the original and it wasn't coasting on like being the new thing. Like I haven't played either of the Resident Evil ones, the original or the remake, but those are, I mean, the remake on GameCube is supposed to be absolutely awesome.
Well, I've got the HD, like, I guess it would technically be like remasters. I don't know, of 1 and I think 2 on PlayStation 4.
Mm-hmm.
So it was basically like a re-release of the GameCube version, I
Okay,
think,
yeah.
on the PS4.
Yeah, so I never played that one.
Huh.
And then when 2 was coming out, it was just like, oh, dude, I haven't played a Resident Evil in a minute. Like, I'm excited for this. It looks good. Everybody's super excited for it. And then I kind of got my fill on that, and I just wasn't really jazzed for the third one like I was jazzed for the other one.
Yeah, I get you. I think for me, the most recent games I played, obviously Blair Witch was one of them, and I definitely enjoyed that. Inside and Limbo is technically a horror game, and there's a few horror-based elements, but not as scary as you would, assume with it being given the horror genre. And then I would say Little Nightmares 1 would be the other one. That I had played that I really, really enjoyed. I did play Alien Isolation, and while it was scary at first, it kind of started toning down in terms of the overall scariness once you got used to like being able to track the alien and where it was at, and just kind of going based off that, it wasn't a problem. I would say I was honestly probably more scared of areas and Little Nightmares than I was on Alien Isolation. That is. But yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge horror junkie. I don't really like the blood and gore and stuff. Like, I cringe at a lot of that stuff. I'm more of like the psychological horror, and trying to think of some of the
John's wall so the new podcast studio at John's house is downstairs in like a library room full of giraffes, as opposed to where all the video games are, in a false attempt to keep my eyes from wandering constantly during podcasts. Now I'm just reading the spines of the same Stephen King books over and over again. So he has like all kinds of spooky books going on in there.
Yeah, but Stephen King isn't all like the Dark Tower series. I wouldn't consider to be horror. I'd consider that as more like suspense and adventure. I think when you think scary,
I have some of those comics.
Oh yeah, I've seen those. I wish I bought them a long time ago. But yeah, like It would be scary, of course, and you have like Cujo is supposed to be scary. The Shining, books like that. But when you start looking at some of the other stories that he's written, not like The Dome. I don't think The Dome is really like.
Have you read The Tall
novel.
Grass?
No,
or was that just a Netflix thing?
I think it's just a Netflix thing, but it may be a book. I'm not sure.
It was good.
Oh, really? I don't know.
I liked that one.
Had Children of the Corn vibes when I was seeing a preview. I was like, is this a new Children of the Corn movie? Yeah, but it's different. Yeah, actually, I was considering watching that one. But that's the type of stuff I'll watch. Like, I'm not big into...
Have you seen Trick or Treat?
No. Have you seen Candyman, the new one?
No.
I want to see that. And that's horror.
Let's keep asking each other stuff that we haven't done.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Yeah. Any other horror games that I've played lately? I think that my most recent other horror game that I can remember playing that I really liked, Splatterhouse.
Yeah, that was good.
That was an awesome old game to play. I really wish we could go back and play. Dude, some of my favorite games that we've played on the podcast have been like old weird horror games. Like Splatterhouse was great. I love Monster in My Pocket was great.
Yeah, that was fun.
Like
that's more like Indian in the Cupboard than it is horror, I would imagine.
There are monsters.
Sure, we'll go with that.
It's called Monster in My Pocket. It's Dracula.
We'll go and Frankenstein. Yeah.
I think that I love the Halloween aesthetic, like more so than horror as an aesthetic. I like Halloween. Like I like the Mario Land levels where you got like the little Jason mask guys and it's all like you're in a spooky haunted house or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like I love the cheesy cartoon. Like I love all of the shows giving you holiday episodes, and I love the Bob's Burgers. Every year they do like a Halloween episode, and they used to do it with South Park. Like that's all the shit I get into is like the media spirit of the holiday that they sold me hard on as a child, and I completely bought into.
The Great Pumpkin with Charlie Brown. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All the golden stuff. Yeah. Well, dude, let's kind of change gears here. Let's jump into our inflation deflation. So this week, as we had said, we're looking at 3 games: Kuon, Obscure, and Haunting Ground. I do own all of these. I can tell the little story behind all of them and when I got them. Kuon.
Give it to me, Johnny.
Kuon specifically was when I was working at the game shop. It was probably at the time going for like 25, $30. Looked super odd. It was a horror game. I was picking up horror games at that point. Bought that one. Actually, I had trade. So there was a point in time where the manager I was working with, we had an agreement that, hey, while we can't pay you, above what you're making, he was like, if you want, he's like, I can give you store credit on stuff kind of on the side. I'm like, all right, cool. So I kind of just went ahead and worked for a little
Hey,
store
I
credit
know
here
I
and there.
can't pay you legally, but if you want to do like a little embezzling on the side, I could hook you up.
I would have considered embezzling more so in trade, and it was me willing to do it. So at the end of the day, I mean, I would clean DVDs and such, and organize in the back, and do little things like projects that I wanted to do in the shop because it's a very small, regional type of shop.
So can I get credit for organizing your magic cards?
No, but I was already considering that was you volunteering, but I was already considering getting you some extras, anyways. Um, so yeah, that was that. So it was like $25 in store credit, and that was God, probably 8 years ago. I think is when I picked it up for like $25. The other one, Obscure, I picked that one up at a thrift store for about $3. That one I was actually,
Whoa.
yeah. So Obscure, I picked up along with Resident Evil Dead Aim and a couple other titles. I don't remember offhand. Like if I looked at the picture, obviously I would see what else I picked up. But I know I left that thrift store purchasing probably about 5 or 6 games under $20, and this was one of them. And then the last one, Haunting Ground, was another one that I actually bought this one outright from the store I worked at. It was going for about 30 or 40 at the time, and I knew it was rare at that time, but it wasn't a title that had hit the prices it's hit now, obviously. So I picked that one up for like, well, it was less than $40 because I had a in-store discount as an employee of 30%. So I think I picked it up for like 28 and some tax, which wasn't bad. But yeah, I mean, that's all three of those. The only other one that's not on here in terms of like big titles or horror games that are super expensive would be Rule of Rose, which I've talked about numerous times, in picking that one up for like 250 from a flea market, which that was probably my favorite pickup. 100% favorite pickup, because the other games here like Obscure, Haunting Ground, and Kuon, they weren't on my mind as like, oh, these games are super pricey. Like that never crossed my mind that's, you know, that wasn't a reason, right, that I was keeping an eye out for them. Rule of Rose specifically, that game was up there in price already. So the second I saw it, it was like that freak out moment, like, oh shit, this game is like $300 and I'm buying it for $2. So it was just that rush that you get from picking up a cheap game. V's not so much. But yeah,
Dude,
digging into
all three of these games were released within 6 months of each other.
that's insane. What about Rule of Rose?
And none of them around Halloween.
That's actually pretty funny. Yeah, you got May, April, and December on here after Halloween. Wow.
Well, at least these are the US release dates. I think
Yeah.
one of these released in Europe around October, but I don't know that they do a lot of Halloween there.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Rule of Rose was 06.
06, yeah. So
way
same, about the same time frame, right? No, these are 05 and 05. Okay. Well, digging into the first one here is Kuon. This one's developed by From Software, published by
Woo!
Age Tech, and it was released in December of 2004. It is a survival horror game with reception in the 5 to 6 range. So this was the first one we played, and I gotta say, man, it was a little clunky. The controls on this game felt very slow.
It's got that PS2 jank.
I mean, the other games didn't have too much PS2 jank. This one definitely did.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is that old PS2 jank kind of game where it's like you definitely have controls that do things, but I mean, as far as like how you're interacting, like you've got just these like really canned animation attacks, and like you're not comboing, you're not doing any deep combat or anything. You just kind of hit a guy, try not to get hit a guy, try not to get hit. There's not dodge rolling and stuff like that. You do have like a fire spell that you get like
you get multiples.
talisman papers for, and probably some other powers as you go.
Yeah,
But
so the little bit that we played, you're pretty much in this manor that has been overtaken, and you're trying to see what the hell's going on. And there's dead bodies and gore everywhere. And I forget the name of the enemies that they call out, but you have these enemies that are actively coming at you at random, like any horror game. But to Ryan's point, yes, you do have like these slips essentially, or cards that you can kind of collect as you're going along that give you certain like limited abilities. So X amount of fire throws, or we had actually picked up that dog, which allowed for 2 summons of a dog, and then in addition to the dagger that we were carrying around. So I mean, overall, we played enough to kind of get a good feel of this game. Enough that I would say, despite being clunky, I felt that the game itself wasn't too bad. It was very much story driven. The graphics were not bad at all. The music actually set us up for some of those spooky type of feelings. And I think while the puzzle elements were a little lacking, they were enough to kind of get me interested to try and find the other pieces to open up various doors and such. The cool thing, when you look at the actual like background and development of this, they purposely put it during this time period in Japan's history because there's a lot of folklore and things that are surrounding that era, which is pretty interesting that they went that route. So I honestly, overall, like, I thought it was pretty cool, despite the clunkiness in what we had played. Like, this is something I think that I would most likely pick back up at some point in time as like a what would you call it? A new game's resolution.
yeah, I mean, it didn't really have that big of an impact on me. I think it looked really good. I mean, the cutscenes were nice at the beginning from what we saw. Like,
Creepy too.
yeah, it definitely has that kind of atmosphere. But I feel like this is one of those games that's definitely, I mean, especially since it's like the most expensive game, this is not worth it. I don't
Well,
think.
no,
I mean,
it definitely isn't.
obviously it's not worth that high price. I just mean it's not worth like it it's not a great game. I just really don't think that like what we saw of it is enough to try to push me back. I think that this is definitely a game that like most people probably overlooked this when this came out, and then all of a sudden it was just like, oh my god, there are no copies of this, buy them all. Like
Yeah,
100%. Like, I don't think there was people like scrambling to get this, and it was just like, oh, you can't get your hands on it because it's this great title. I think this is, for the most part, I think people mess around with it. And then I would really be interested to know how many big time collectors actually buy this and play this all the way through. I just
I
can't
mean,
imagine that people really do.
there's quite a few collectors that actually pick up a lot of these games at these high prices and actively play them. Whether or not it's a good game, I mean, it's obviously debatable. I mean, you're looking at 5 to 6 reception in the grand scheme of things on here. But, I think, yeah, it's probably in that 6 to 7 range is, where I would put it. Is it a game that's worth $794.75? Probably not, unless you're a diehard PS2 fan and have to have every PS2 game, or specifically every horror game on the console, and you're dying to play this title. I think there's other means to be able to play it cheaper, emulators, most likely. But yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's still a pretty interesting title, and it's not on any other consoles that I'm aware of, other than potentially emulating it. And this is a game that they're likely never going to reprint.
Yeah.
Like, they're never going. I cannot see them ever reprinting this game. It's kind of like some of those old Saturn RPGs and stuff that are likely never going to get reprints. This is probably in the same vein as that. Like, why would they reprint Kuon? Like,
No,
there'd
and
be
no,
no reason.
it's probably not worth remastering or anything like that. Like,
No.
if you really want to get your hands on and play this game, you're just kind of, yeah, you basically have to emulate it.
Yeah. Yeah, unless you're willing to shell out that much money. So brass tacks on this one, complete in box, you're looking at $794.75. That is a peak, and it is trending up. Yay me for picking this up years ago. A loose copy of that is going to run you $495.98, peaked at $495.98. Well, now, and it is also trending up. So of course we're going to be in the realm of inflated on this one.
I mean, it's no Mario 64.
No, it's
but
no
it's
complete
not
new
going to cost you
box.
$1 million, $2 million, but it's still pretty up there.
Hey, but it could. So in our Halloween spooky month time period of trick or treat,
Is this game a trick or a treat, John? Like, would you say that you feel like you were tricked into buying this really expensive game, or do you feel like you've been treated with something truly worth revisiting?
I think I've been treated on this one. And the main reasons being it is an interesting title. You're not going to find a reprint of it. And on top of that, it's expensive as all hell.
I mean,
So
specifically, you got a huge treat out of this one.
yeah, exactly. So I got a huge treat in regard to that. Now,
This is the ultimate king size candy bar at the house, except it's not just like one candy bar. It's like it's the last house of the night. And somehow like their porch light was off all night and nobody went up there, and they've just got a whole bowl full of king size candy bars. And you were just like, these are all mine.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it worked out. I wish I bought more copies of this game. But yeah, so I would say it's a treat from those perspectives. But, also if you are looking to buy this game at $7.95 or $1,000, whatever it may be, and you're thinking, wow, this is super cool. I'm going to go ahead and play this, and it's totally going to be worth $800. You're in for a trick. That's for sure. All right. Next game that we got here is going to be Obscure. And this one was
I know. But like, what's the name of the game?
I hate you so much. He did this shit to me yesterday too while we were playing. He's just like, "Oh well, hey, what's the name of the game?" I'm like, "Obscure." Yeah, I know it's obscure, but what's the name of the game? I hate you. Okay, so Hydra Vision Entertainment, Hail Hydra. It was published by Dreamcatch Interactive, released in April of 2005, and it is, of course, a survival horror with a reception around a 6. This game was
one
interesting.
is weird.
Yeah. So you're in a high school. It's got like you said earlier, like this campy vibe going
This
for
is
it.
so campy. This feels like a horror movie intro. It's got like all the characters with like whoosh, swooshing, like, and telling you what their name is while they're like playing basketball in the gym and the girls are watching them. And
yeah, it opens up in that regard. And then also you've got like the main character you start with. I forget his name off the bat because we didn't play that long. But
Stan. I think,
Stan, okay. Stan. Oh yeah, that's right. Because you had Mr. Garrison, Stan, and
no, Kenny was the main character.
Kenny, and then you had Stan as well.
I was like, this is very South Park.
Yeah, and then there's a Mr. Garrison, so clearly it's South Park. I was looking for Mr. Slave, but it didn't come out.
We didn't make it that far.
No, we didn't make it that far.
Level 3.
When you find Paris Hilton and Lemmy Winks. So to kind of spoiler alert in a sense, I guess, on this game, you start out with the main character at that point, and you go into like a bathroom, your stuff disappears, and you start following in the middle of the night from a gym somebody that's taking your shit, and then somehow you end up going into like this really, I guess, a basement for the school, which, hey, let's totally go into a basement for a school because that's smart. And you find a gun. Surprise, surprise, a gun on an American campus. And so you pick up the gun and some duct tape and a light, and you make your way down where you find this other kid who is stuck there.
And that's when multiplayer begins.
Yeah. And so it's pretty cool. So there is a multiplayer component where each person can pick up one of the 5 potential characters in the game to make their way through, of course. The cool thing about this that I was reading in the wiki is that players can die as you're completing the game, and you just have to keep moving forward with another player. So
yeah, I like games like that. There's a game, Sweet Home, I think. It's like an old NES RPG where you're like in a haunted house and you've got like a crew, and they each have like their own inventory and like their special items, and if you lose a character, I think you just like lose them and have a harder time trying to finish the game and less inventory and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the 2-player was actually pretty cool. I'm not a big fan of the fact that like one character can completely go off the screen and then you just have that little blue arrow and have no idea what the other person's doing. So that was kind of interesting. But I think overall the 2-player dynamic was pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's great to see co-op, especially that kind of, it's got that same kind of co-op feeling and kind of switching characters like you would see in like a Lego game.
Mm-hmm.
where it's like it's really feels like, okay, like I'm just gonna switch between these characters, and it doesn't really have a lot of impact. Apparently they do have like individual skills that do things, but it's you don't have to like really open like menus and stuff or boot it up in a certain way. You just start playing the game, and then if you want, you hit start and you go.
Well, like there's one character that we were reading about. I think it was Josh, if I'm correct. And he actually calls out, like, hey, I think there's something going on in
Yeah.
here that we need to finish. Or he'll be like, oh, there's nothing else here. So that particular character's like innate ability
Oh, Stan is a
allows.
thief and computer hacker.
Ah, okay.
He can
So
easily pick locks and break into rooms.
there you go. Whereas Josh, he kind of gives you this idea on things that are needing to happen to be able to progress in a game, such as if you forgot something in a particular room, he lets you know, hey, I think we have to do something. Versus if you're in a room, he'll give you a clue of, I think we found everything we needed to here. And you know, okay, there's nothing in this room that I need. And so you stop searching. I really like that for this game, especially in a horror game with like puzzle based elements or areas where you have to discover certain items to link up to other areas. Like we had the screwdriver we had to find to be able to get into the air vent, to be able to move into the next section. And it was just nice having that character on hand and be like, no, like there's something else in here. And then we knew, okay, we got to keep looking around.
Well, and like when I was playing Resident Evil 8, they have a system where if there's any treasure or items or anything left behind in the map, that section will stay red. Once you've found everything, it switches to blue.
Nice.
But that means that every time in a room and every time I click the map, after every item I pick up, I'm opening the map like 5 times that I'm in a room because I'm like, was that the last thing? Oh, no. Oh, was that the last thing? Oh, no. It's nice to not have to do that in the game, to just be like, hey, you got it.
Well, you know what's really cool is like God of War. One of the things they do in that game, like they're not going to give you all the things that you miss, but say you kill like 10 different enemies and they drop like 4 or 5 items. In the God of War game, what I found to be pretty cool is that after it's all said and done, you have like spoils of war, things that you missed that you could have picked up from an enemy, but you didn't, and they throw them in your inventory automatically. Not saying I want the easy button on my horror games and whatnot, but I think it's a pretty cool element. But dude, I think overall, like this game had some pretty cool graphics to it. It wasn't bad. I did think it was a little clunky in terms of the controller in that third person setting, more so than other games than you and I have played, such as Cold Fear. I felt had better controls with the third party or third, the third party view of third person. Yeah, God, I keep thinking third party from Sales. Yeah, so I think overall that was pretty nice, and or not nice at all. Sorry. And God, what else did I like about this one? It had very little jump scares in a little bit that we played, but just enough to kind of get us a little antsy in that first section with the few monsters that kind of come out, and you've got the black ichor that's surrounding you. You got to kill it off with the light. I thought that was pretty cool, that little bit.
I think that this is a pretty solid one for like sitting around and playing with other people, like on Halloween, or like to get into like the spirit, just because it does have that really kind of kitschy, kind of produced in the early 2000s movie kind of vibe to it, which I kind of dig. I mean, obviously it's way too expensive for that. This did get a sequel and like a bundle re-release on Steam as well. So this is a much more available to play game, being that it's not a PS2 exclusive. I mean, once we get this one down and break it into brass tacks, we're looking at complete inbox $266.15 right now. That peaked at $299.42 back in September 2020. It's kind of trending down right now. A loose copy will still run you $126.63. That peaked at $132.50 back in July 21, and that's holding right now. That PS2 complete in box is the most expensive version, but you can pick this up PAL Xbox loose for $11.55. So you're not locked out of this one. You've definitely got some buying options in there.
Well, you got to pick up a PAL Xbox, but
well, I mean, I'm just telling you what the lowest price is, John. You know how we do.
Yeah, I know. But
But
a
like you
PAL
could pick up
Xbox,
a US Xbox version for 85 or loose for 62. So I mean you can kind of run the gamut.
well, and if you could also probably pick up a PAL Xbox and have access to all those Xbox games on
I mean, there's
PAL.
so many expensive games that if you buy another region, I mean, investing in another region console to be able to collect physical games that you can still play does work. I mean, you could
Yeah,
totally do that
yeah, I agree. Um, so I would say
and
in
save a ton of
terms,
money.
yeah, exactly. I would say in terms of the overall rating here of inflated or deflated, it's definitely inflated at that price point. The Xbox version, though, I mean, given the obscurity, pun intended, of this game, 85 or so wouldn't be too bad of a deal. And of course, an Xbox loose copy, PAL region, if you have a PAL region Xbox, totally worth picking
I
up
mean, if
at
you really want to
11.25.
play it, just pick it up on Steam, honestly.
That too. So yeah, you've got your options. So PS2 wise, inflated. But in terms of trick or treat, after playing this, was this a trick that I tricked you into playing this? Or was this a treat in your overall experience?
So I did have a decent enough time while we were playing this one, and I could see this being a fairly light game to kind of go through. Um, I definitely feel like this one is a trick though, because you, like I said, you could buy this on Steam and not pay very much at all and probably have a better overall experience, I would say, if they've gone in and done any cleanup or made any, you know, touch ups or anything. It would be way better than buying this original version.
I agree. All right, man. So our next game that we have here is Haunting Ground on the PlayStation 2 as well. This was developed by Capcom, published by Capcom, designed by Yukio
Oh, wait,
Ando.
hold on. I forgot. The
Huh.
Steam version doesn't have the Sum 41 music, so it's
Oh, yeah.
obviously the inferior version.
Obviously. Yeah. If you're a big Sum 41 fan, you're not
You
going
were
to want
like
that other
right
version.
away, you were like, I dig this music.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Well, I mean, I used to listen to some Sum 41 back in the day.
dude, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Sum 41.
Yeah, still pretty cool. Okay, so Yukio Ando was a designer of Haunting Ground. It was released in May of 2005, and again, it is a survival horror. This one being the highest rated at 6 out of 7 on
No,
our
627.
reception. 627. Wow, I am like off tonight, dude.
Who rates things out of 7?
I don't
Although
know.
there is that one that does like out of 40 or something.
Yeah, I know we've had some weird ones. Come on now, cut me some slack. Um, but I think out of all the ones we played, this might have been my favorite.
Yeah, so this one was definitely felt the most
Control wise,
developed.
yeah,
Like it had the most polish on it, was definitely the best looking, had the best animation. Like all the movement was really fluid and nice. It definitely didn't have that. It was less like you know how everything's super blocky in some PS2 games? This had less of that blockiness than the first two did.
yeah, I think this one, if you upscaled it, would look really nice on a current TV or I guess an older TV. I would totally look into upscaling this game, 100%. I mean, we played it on an HD TV, and it still didn't look too bad. But if you had this on like one of those nice tube TVs, like a pretty nice 32-inch tube TV, I think we'd be in some business. Like this looked good.
This is kind of a spiritual successor to the Clock Tower series, a very popular old horror series. I've never played any of those. From what I know, I think they're fairly well received. I think I've seen some playthrough of one of them before.
Well, I have Clock Tower 3 on PS2,
Mm-hmm.
but Clock Tower 1 is super expensive on PS1, and I don't remember which one Clock Tower 2 is on, what console. Um, but this game in particular, what was pretty cool when I was reading into this one, and well, not cool, I guess, more so, I guess, 2005 sexist in a sense. So the developer thought that a female protagonist was not going to be compelling enough for retailers and general video game audiences. So they incorporated the dog.
Had they
Uh,
met Laura
cute.
Croft?
Right? So that's where I'm like, that makes zero sense to me as to like why you would not find this female protagonist to be compelling enough, and why they had to put in Huey, the white German Shepherd, in the game. Like he was never in the original plans, from what I understand.
Which is weird
And
because it's so like core to the gameplay.
yeah, so it's interesting that they threw him in there. Um, I thought that she was, in the little bit that we played, I thought she was compelling on her own. I didn't feel that we needed a dog in there. I felt that the aspect of, running away from various enemies and such, and hiding and having the all clear meter, and, trying to figure out your puzzles and such, I felt that that was pretty compelling on its own. I didn't need any other elements to be plugged into that. I like the aspect of, and it kind of reminds me of, what's that game? I keep thinking Obscure, but it's one where you go into the insane asylum as like a photographer, videographer, and or
Oh,
a journalist. And there's like three of them. I don't know,
yeah.
man. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Everybody
yeah,
else
yeah,
knows
yeah.
what I'm talking about. But it's all, puzzle elements and trying to escape your way and hide and all this other stuff. But that being said, I felt that this game had a lot of those elements for a very early on title, obviously. And I would have liked to, continued playing this one, I think. We obviously ran out on time and had to move into our recording, but I felt it was pretty good in the little bit of time that we had. Are you looking up that game title right
Outlast.
now? Outlast. Yeah. See, I knew it was an O. Yeah. So it's just like Outlast. That's how it feels.
I mean, this one looked really good. I think that, I mean, we didn't get to the dog part, but it sounds like the dog part is cool. I really like the design.
We just yawned at the same time on the recording.
Oh my god, sorry
This is
about the
good
dead
stuff.
silence.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this one was neat. I would definitely check this one out more. I think
Kuon or Obscure.
Yeah, definitely. This was my favorite of all the ones that we played. This one I would say is a real treat.
Yeah, I would agree on that. I think it's still inflated.
Oh, hell yeah. So
372.08 for the complete in box. And that's actually down from its peak in September of last year at 397.45, and it's still trending down. And a loose copy is running at 251.46. That peaked at 269.75. You don't have the date here, but I'm going to guess
in August 21.
Oh, really? August of 21, it peaked at that price. And that's also trending down. So, of course, it's inflated. I think we both agree this is definitely a treat. In comparison to the other one, for sure, I think this is a superior horror game out of all three.
I think that if this one dips down again, the price, I mean, right now, it's kind of going up, but it's kind of peaked and valleyed a few times. If this one drops down again, into, I don't know, maybe like that, like maybe down to like 300, would you say that it would be worth picking up because it's probably going to turn back around and go back up from there? Like what would be the floor price that you would buy this, or the not the floor price, the ceiling price that you think like somebody who really wanted to get this one? Like, if I was going to get any of these as a collector, I would say that this one looks like the one that would have the most promise and kind of the best buy-in. I don't think Obscure is really going to go places, but this one I could definitely see reaching greater and greater heights as it goes on.
Was this released on anything else? I don't recall seeing that. I don't know if you've got the wiki up on your end. I think it was just PS2. With I know they re-released it on like PlayStation 3 in the digital store.
No, just
years
PS2.
ago. Yeah, so I mean, Kuon and this one in particular. I mean, if you look at something like Kuon, look at something like Rule of Rose. This is actually getting close to Rule of Rose in terms of overall price. If you're looking from a price standpoint, I think now would be the time to pick it up. Honestly, if you were thinking about buying this, like, why wait? If you can pick it up right now, just do it. I mean, especially if you're in that collector mode and you really want to get like every horror game, or this is a game that you've been dying to play. It's not $700. It's still kind of in that, if you can afford it at 372, might as well. I mean, you're going to regret it if this one goes up another $100 in the next several years, but
that would be truly terrifying.
That would be. But you know what? We're at a point in time with these games where everything is so inflated right now.
You think it's all
And
going to come down anyways?
I think it's all going to come down slightly. It might level back out to decent price points, but I don't think that these things will ever get back down to like their $120, $150 range that they were a couple years ago. I think they're going to stay at a decently high level. I would think maybe this does go down to $350 or so, but are you really going to, care about an extra $20 a year from now if it goes down to $350? Probably not. So I'd say pick it up now if you have the opportunity for a nice clean copy.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's still inflated for sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
if you were going to, you obviously already have the pleasure of having all of these. If there was one that you hadn't, or if you didn't have any of these, which one would you be most inclined to go after?
I would say this one, but I mean, in no way am I spending, close to $800 in a game. And in no way am I spending close to $400. Although I did do that for a brand new copy of Devil's Third, but that's a little different because that's like a genuinely rare game on the console and sealed. So that was one that I was willing to splurge on. But this, I mean, a used copy of 372. Yeah, I think that's if I had $400, or really if I had the option to buy any of these and was told you have to buy one and you have the ability to pay $800 for Kuon or $200 something for Obscure, $375 for this one, I would pick up this one for sure. That's where I stand on it, Ryan. All right. Well, that is our 3 scary games with scary price tags for our first podcast episode of Spooky Month. We'll have to figure out what we're going to play next, but
what are your favorite spooky games? Give us some chilling ideas.
I was also going to say we could play scary in terms of horrible games. So instead of picking up like just specifically spooky games, the worst rated game in my collection.
Horrible games.
Horrible games, yes. I think that might be a good one. Yeah.
Okay.
I think we should do that next week. I'll look them up. Well,
let's find the worst, like at least somewhat involved in horror though. Like
as close as we can get to horror. But I mean, if we're talking Blue's Clues versus like a semi-horror bad title, I mean, it's Blue's Clues all the way, dude.
Blue's Clues isn't spooky though. It's Spooky Month.
We
could play terribly cheap games any month.
True, but are they that horrible in ratings? We'll see. We'll see what
we can find.
We'll look at the collection. And
I know I'm like trying to stare in the background. And it's just all books. There's no games back there for me to try to be like, games. What should we play? That's the part that I miss the most is like, oh God, what are we going to play? And then trying to stare at the wall and come up with something at the last minute.
Yeah, now we got to go up to the loft. It's insane. So many games. All right. Well, we will come back to you guys next week with a title. We have no clue what that title is going to be yet. And yeah, when you hear this episode, it's going to be a week after that. So Ryan, we've had 2 weeks is when we'll have our title decided. So I think we're in a good spot.
You got time to think.
Yeah. We'll get it all figured out. Okay. Well, this has been episode 151 of Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John.
I'm Ryan.
And thanks for listening.